PA and the Ohio Army National Guard. We're excited to have you join us as we continue our effort to support small businesses in navigating and succeeding in government contracting. For those of you who may be new to our program, the Ohio Business Matchmaker is a vital event designed to connect Ohio small businesses with government agencies and prime contractors, fostering opportunities for growth and collaboration. We provide training, networking events, and direct access to procurement opportunities to help you succeed in the competitive landscape of government contracting. This training is designed to provide you with valuable insight and effective strategies to engage with buyers and lenders. Before we begin, here are a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat at any time using that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We will be addressing them throughout the session and also during our dedicated Q&A segment. Additionally, a recording of this webinar and any shared resources will be made available on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website, of course, ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com, traditionally within 24 to 48 hours after the session. I'll also drop registration links for the following week's sessions for you throughout today's session as well. Next, I want to go ahead and kick it off to Ms. Jill Nagy-Reynolds, who is at the Small Business Administration Office here in Columbus, Ohio.
Right. Thank you so much, Deja. And I just wanted to mention that these webinar trainings would not be possible without a partnership between the Small Business Administration Columbus District Office and the Ohio Department of Development. So this is actually the 17th year that we are organizing the Ohio Business Matchmaker, and we really hope that everyone that is attending these webinars will also be a part of the Ohio Business Matchmaker on April 22nd and 23rd. And also, I wanted to remind you that we have additional webinar training sessions in the following Wednesdays leading up to the event. So please plan on joining us next week. To get a listing of the remaining webinars, please just go to the Matchmaker website and register for them. They're free. So this afternoon's webinar training is a part of our Doing Business With series. As you are learning about the agencies that are part of these webinar trainings, keep in mind that they will be at the Matchmaker and you can ask them questions directly when you get a chance to meet with them. We're very happy for our the first part of this webinar training. We are going to learn about doing business with the US EPA. And joining us, we have Mr. David Allen, who is the Senior Small Business Specialist out of Washington, D.C. For the EPA. So without further adu, Mr. Allen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you again for inviting me to this event. And certainly glad to tell you how to do business with EPA. So it is not as hard as a lot of people think, but definitely it's a challenge on some occasions. So I'll walk through some of the processes and feel free, like Jill said, put your questions in the chat and I'll answer them. So let's get started. So how to do business with EPA. And part of my agenda is going to be the agency overview, some business tips. I'm going to walk through the forecast. The forecast is really your introduction on how to find opportunities within any federal agency that you deal with. And I'm going to show you how to get through ours. And then I'll have questions and also put them in the chat. All right. So our agency has a responsibility to protect human health and the environment. By show of hands or thumbs, however Zoom works, how many know that there was a river that caught on fire back in 1969? I don't see the fingers or hands throwing up, but anyway, there was a river that caught on fire several years ago in 1969 that was really interesting that it caught on fire twice. And in 1969, when I guess the news got around that we got a river that's on fire, totally unheard of before. And as a result, EPA was formed in 1970 to basically get rid of all the stuff that's being thrown into the earth, into the ground, into the rivers. You had chemical spills or dumpings into the rivers and digging holes into the ground. We have a lot of areas in the United States that's contaminated. So the Environmental Protection Agency helps to protect the air we breathe, the dirt we walk on, and water we drink. So, and I'm going to read this out to you. To accomplish the mission of protecting human health and environment, we develop and enforce regulations, give grants, basically to some of the states to make sure that their rivers and streams are flowing correctly, study environmental issues, sponsor partnerships, teach people about the environment, and publish information. And we do have 10 regional offices, as you can see on the map here, and Ohio is part of it. So we have regions from coast to coast that help support our mission, and also the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And as you can see, some of the areas in Guam and the Samoas. We also have 11 national program offices. Right now, I am part of the Office of the Administrator. And we have other offices throughout the agency that protect certain areas of importance. My business area is in small business, and we support the protection of human health and environment by advocating for and advancing the business, regulatory, and environmental compliance concerns of small businesses. Basically, I'm your advocate. I make sure that you have an opportunity to find small businesses or opportunities within EPA. One of the concerns that we have a lot is that small businesses says that we want to be able to do work with the federal government, but we don't know how. For those that do know how, the forecast is going to be the way to get introduction to the federal sector. Also, subcontracting is also another good way to get opportunities within the federal government and many proteges. But we'll talk about that a little later. But my mission really is to help support you. And I'm going to show you how I do that support. Right now, every federal agency has a goal to promote small businesses. These are our goals for fiscal year 2026. We have a percentage that we have to meet or try to meet for subcontracting and for prime contracts. And as you can see, small business is at 44.5%, and subcontracting is at 54% of all the prime work that we do at EPA. The other numbers for small disadvantaged, women-owned, HUBZone, and service-disabled vets are statutory, meaning that these are governed by law, that these have to be met regardless. However, the small business goals and subcontracting goals are negotiated every year. So in that regard, we have 44% of our funding has to go to small business. And quite honestly, for the last 14, 15 years, we've gotten an A scorecard that we actually match or meet that goal. So in that regard, our advocacy for you does very well. Business tips. All right. And some of you, if you're not aware, do your homework. Know the federal agency that you're actually looking to do work with. If you come to the to EPA and says, hey, look, we want to do painting. Well, that's not our mission. We don't do painting. I mean, we do make sure that the paint is not bad for the environment, but for the most part, we're not a painting organization. We deal with air, water, and dirt, quite honestly. There are some aspects of that we do deal with, but if your primary support is for something that we don't do, you're wasting your time and ours. Take a look at the forecast. Like I said, every federal agency will have a forecast. All you have to do is do a Google search and say GSA forecast, and it'll pop up, or EPA forecast, and it should pop up. Be prepared to ask questions about the forecast. Every agency, at least right now, should have a small business advocacy group, Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. A group should be there to help support you. With this new administration, there's been some changes that went along, and as a result, you may have some agencies that don't have an organization. However, you can still reach out to other organizations to get some support, other agencies that may have a small business still in existence. Always have your elevator speech in hand. Make it 30 seconds or shorter. You should be able to talk to a small business representative or contracting officer and say, this is what I do and this is why I do it. Make a difference. And whatever you do should solve a problem that we may have. For instance, if there's a problem somewhere in Ohio that says we need to have this cleaned up, we need to make sure that this site is not contaminated, if you're saying, hey, I want to do this work, but you don't have the equipment and it doesn't solve a problem for us, and you're wasting your time. Have your capability statement available, and your capability statement like a business resume, and make it one page, possibly two, and have it in electronic format. So in that regard, you should be able to send it over to us or to a contracting officer for review. Make sure it has your unique identifier code, and show any certifications you may have, and have a link to your website, and indicate whatever unique qualifications you may have for that opportunity, that or your business that you're willing to solve for the federal agency. And if you have NICS code, make sure that NICS code is tailored to that procurement opportunity. What we found sometimes is that you have a general capability statement saying, hey, this is, I do everything. And it's not tailored to the opportunity that we may have in place. Say, for instance, if you have a company that does Superfund work, or you do dig and haul work, and we're not looking for that, and you say, I want to do this work, but it doesn't match your capability statement. So again, it's like a resume. You will have to have an opportunity, if you see one, you have to modify your capability statement to match that requirement. Other business tips: check the acquisition forecast. And as I said before, look at the forecast, because that definitely tells you what we're looking for. It's almost like when you have your home business or home, say, I'm going to buy a refrigerator in another 2 years. Well, it's sort of the same thing with a forecast. Every agency has one, and they project out, say, this is what we're going to buy in a couple of years. Our forecast, EPA's forecast, is listed for like 3 years, and we have our forecasts should be complete by June 30th of this year. That'll go all the way out to I think 3031 or 3032. So feel free to take a look at that. And I'll actually walk you through some of the processes when we get through here, if my screen works the way I want it to. So check SAM for procurements. Also take a look at SAM. Now, the forecast is actually your first point of contact with the agency. When you look at SAM, you're actually competing with everybody. So you look at the forecast first and say, okay, I think I can do this work. Start communicating out to my office and also to the contracting point of contact. Once it hits SAM, it's going to be open to everybody. So you have an inside track when you look at the forecast first. Make sure you register in FedConnect. FedConnect is a unique portal specifically for EPA. So if you don't do anything else to make sure you get a contract, look at FedConnect. If any of you remember the Commerce Business Daily from years and years ago, that ported over to electronic format, basically SAM. And SAM actually connects over to FedConnect. So everything I'm telling you now is basically all electronic. So make sure your electronic communications is intact. But specifically, you want to work with any contract with EPA, you have to be registered in FedConnect. And it's a two-way portal. And there's no more timestamps except for the electronic stamp that when you send it into that portal, it gets stamped rather than sending it in by mail. Consider teaming agreements. Teaming agreements can be good, especially if you have a GSA contract. It makes it easier. That's another situation you might want to get into GSA, and consider any kind of mental protege agreements. I think I saw something in chat. Do you want me to stop right now and answer the question?
Yep.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Nope, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deja.
This question was just asking for a resource here that we could drop in the chat, a link for Vet Connect, so we can go ahead and get that taken care of.
Okay, that link is actually FedConnect. See how it's spelled here, FedConnect.net, N-E-T. That's the link. And again, if I'm not used to Zoom that much, but if I can get my Zoom camera to work, I will actually take you through all these different sites. Thanks for the question. Apply any socioeconomic status that you have right now. Right now, it's still good. There's a big issue with 8As right now with the federal government. 8As are under the microscope. So if you get 8A, bring your A game. You have to be on top of it. For the most part, the federal government now is looking for merit-based businesses more so than I got a business and I can do the work. No, you got to bring your A game. You have to show that I've done some work. This is what I've done in the past, and I've got strong capabilities. So at this stage of the game, definitely bring your A game. And consider developing relationship with any socioeconomic small business. It's still good to have small business categories set up as a small business, women-owned small business, services able to vet. Those are still good statuses to have. So, but nonetheless, you still have to be very good at what you do. The environment is a little different right now. So one of the big things is to make sure you understand the federal acquisition regulation, what it means to be a small business and what you have to do. One of the biggest things I can suggest is consider getting on the General Services Administration's schedule. Start applying to get there because a lot of information or a lot of jobs are actually coming from GSA. Some of the things you don't want to do. Don't let your SAM registration lapse. Currently, I think if you're in SAM, you have every year you have to update your registration and to make sure it stays complete. It used to be at one time you can go in and change the character in SAM and then update. It would make it update fine. Okay. I'm not sure how it works now, but that was the way you used to be able to modify your registration to make sure it stays within that 1 year time period. Make sure it's complete. And it's very important, again, that all your information is there. Make sure your SBA small business profile is available to be searched. Again, years ago, you could put your information in not SAM, but the other portal that would actually, when you push the button, it would push everything onto the small business search engine. SBA has now updated their small business search. So make sure your profile is searchable within the Small Business Administration's profile system. Don't tell a contracting officer what contracting vehicles are used. That's kind of offensive in the sense that the CO already has an idea based on market research, the best approach that they can take to get their requirements fulfilled. Excuse me. Don't have your capability statement more than 3 pages. Quite honestly, 1 page is good. 2 pages is fine. 3 or more is outrageous. So kind of tailor again your capability statement back to, available to read within a quick view. Don't say you can provide a service or a product and you can't. There was a situation when COVID first hit and we needed, everybody needed masks. And this one guy, he thought he had a contact in somewhere overseas and it was a viable contract, but he had to deliver it within a couple of weeks. The guy had rented a airplane. He took his mother and father to this big fancy hotel to go down and sign the contract. Turns out that the company that he's going to get it for couldn't supply the product. And he lost the contract. It was a multi-million-dollar contract, but he thought he had it all under wraps. And it turns out that the producer couldn't fulfill the product within the time frame that he needed it. So don't say you can do it and don't have everything tied up and ready to go. Again, know your OSDBU, your Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, or your small business specialist. And again, most federal agencies have a small business office, so feel free to open up to them. And again, these links should be portable, where as you can see the pop-up here, this will actually go out to another page and show you how to find out small business coordinators. And they're all over the country. So there is one in your area. So feel free to reach out and I'll show you who that is. Use your APEX accelerators. I'm sure you're aware of those. And again, that link will take you to that locator for your office area. Feel free to contact your small business development centers anytime you need an older group to give you some information or help mentor you. score is a good place to look out for. In the Veterans Outreach Center is good, and the Women's Business Centers are very good for assistance. And again, the Fed Connect overview, like I said, is a two-way portal that actually is free. It'll actually connect you with the EPA. Anytime there's a procurement opportunity that's listed in SAM, it will actually port you over to Fed Connect to that same opportunity. And at that point, you have to put in all your information to respond to it. Here's the link here. Again, I don't want to leave out of here just yet until I'm sure I can actually bring up another page that makes sense. Here's our forecast. And we'll walk through some of the process for the forecast. And as you can see, the forecast is actually our way of saying, here's the opportunities we think we're gonna buy in the next 2 or 3 years. And they're all, just like I said, a forecast. Most times we are gonna buy that product, and if we're not, then it should be updated to say we're not gonna do it. This is the link here. Now, again, I'll populate that in a minute to see if I can get there. But anyway, this is our splash page. This is the first page that shows up for the opportunities. So if you click on this link, it'll actually bring this up right here, this page. And within our way of, in that page for opportunities, current opportunities, you can search by record number, AA ship or region, our procurement office, by dollar range, by NICS code, the issue date for the solicitation, or the award date. These are all very good ways to search. And again, this is the link to get there. And again, I'll walk you through that. I'll show you first. So anyway, so if you click on an opportunity and say, here's the first thing you see that says, here's my current opportunities by record number. And within that, it will actually give you some description on what that opportunity is all about. And as you can see, there's a couple here that popped up. Now, to filter out any extraneous stuff, you put in, I want to see everything for 2025. You put it in that filter box. And as you can see, when you click go, it'll actually show up, here's everything for 2025. That you filtered out everything only for 2025. To get more in depth with it, you can actually put in small. And you already had 2025, this is part of the filter. So you're filtering out now small businesses in 2025. And as you can see in your procurement method, everything here is restricted to small business. Actually, you can say probably below here it says competitive or competitive small. But again, you're still in 2025. Okay. And in order to get a little bit more information, again, this is all small business. All the filters we have here is small in 2025. So I have an interest in this particular procurement right here. If you click on this icon, it'll actually pop up into another screen, which is this screen, which will give you a little bit more information about that opportunity. And as you can see, it's still restricted to small business set aside. And it also has a point of contact. And that's that point of contact here. It's listed here with their email address. No phone numbers, but email. And again, like I said, it's still 2025 for the fiscal year that we're doing the solicitation. Now, to make it easier, I want to see everything in 2025 that's a small business, and I want to have a report that shows me that. If you click on an action, and this drop down here will show a download, which is displayed here.
Show.
Yeah, a question? You want me to stop here for a second?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
Brad, you're unmuted. Okay.
Okay,
This is Jill. I have a question. Like you showed the contact person for that particular requirement. Is there a good or bad time to reach out to them? And you had mentioned capability statements. Should they be sending them a capability statement, or what recommendations do you have in businesses reaching out to these points of contact?
It's always good to send a capability statement and also copy me. copy someone in my office and say that, okay, I'm interested in this requirement, and send a capability statement. And because we've had some restructuring and with the DRP that went on, some folks may not be with the agency. In that regard, after 2 weeks, if someone doesn't respond back to you, let me know. And I'll reach out to find out who is now the point of contact for that procurement, for that opportunity. But certainly send your capability statement for that opportunity that's listed.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. As far as the format, when you hit down action here, and there's a drop down for download, you have an opportunity to download it in a CSV format or PDF. If you choose CSV, which is a comma separated file, it will not display as an Excel. It looks like an Excel, but it's not. So when you download it, if you choose this method, if you download it, then you have to convert it to an Excel file to make it work like an Excel. Otherwise, it'll show up like an Excel, but it's not. So be aware that the CSV file is not Excel. The PDF is actually very good. You can't click on it or anything. You can't manipulate it, but it gives you a much clearer view of that requirement. So if you have an opportunity to download, you click download, it will actually download to your hard drive. Let's go back. Let's see if I can manipulate this a little bit for you. I'm going to go to our forecast. Let's see if my screen will actually move the way I want it to. All right, so can you still see my screen?
Yep.
Good. So I'm gonna walk through this opportunity section for you. As you can see, like I said, the splash screen, when you click on the link, it'll actually bring up these 3 areas. These 2 are actually going through some cleanup phases with the awards and council procurements. So don't even bother to look at those. Look at our current opportunities, which is what you're actually looking for. And as I showed on the screen before, record number, these are different ways to search through our forecast. I usually choose record number because it's just first. And any other way you search it will give you the same thing. So I'm going to ask the audience, give me a NICS code, any NICS code will work. If you can take yourself off mute and just give me one of your business NICS codes, I'll do a search for you.
All right, everybody, this is your time to shine. Throw out a NAICS code. All right, everyone's shy. I will do it. How about 236220?
Okay. So I put in 236220 and I hit go. And this is going to tell you if we're looking for that NICS code, it's going to be listed here. And it does. So we've got several. And as you can see, again, it goes, our forecast is still valid, and we actually cleaned it up a little bit. So
it didn't follow whatever screen you're on. We're still on like current opportunities. Is that what you're on?
Yeah, no, it did not. So that's why I was hoping that it would go through with me. Okay. So did the other screen show up?
No, you might have to hit stop share and then share again.
Yeah, goodness.
Oh, I guess the chat is disabled. I am so sorry, Joshua. Okay, he said we can't talk, the chat's disabled. That was not intentional. So, okay. And so I did get a second NAICS code as well once you're done with that one.
Okay, I just have to remember to stop and go back.
Oh, here they come. Yep. Sorry.
Okay, thanks. As you can see, Jill, when you gave me 236220, as you can see, here's a bunch that showed up. But as you see, the procurement method hasn't been decided. So to be decided out of market research and so on. But these are, and some are restricted to 8A companies. So again, this is a good way to filter through our forecast based on your NICS code. And again, like I said before, you can actually put in small. Let me know if the screen changes.
Yep.
Oh, nothing showed as small. So I'll take that back out. So what appears to be a situation where to be decided at the market research, let's put in market just to isolate those out. So there's actually, what, 5 to be done after market research. Now, this is showing 24, 23. This is no good. 20 is over. 25 and 20. So you got validation in these 3, and this is a possibility here. This may be a recompete. So in that instance, let's take, for instance, this requirement here. If you click on this one and click on the icon, did it change to the detail page?
Yes.
Okay, good. So again, like I was saying before, it'll show you detail of that opportunity. Well, this one's fairly new. So this is a good opportunity. This is your contact point right here. Anyone has an interest in this requirement, just shoot them an email and say you're interested as part of the market research that will have to go on in this requirement, and send a capability statement and copy me. You can always go back. It should take you back to the page that we started from. And again, like I said, if you click the action button, hit download, it'll actually give you an opportunity, like I said, which format you want. If you use PDF, it gives you a good PDF screen. I don't want to do that right now. Okay. And if you click on in the X's, it'll actually take you right back to the very beginning. So I'm back at the beginning of our requirements. So what's another next scope?
Here's one that I haven't seen before. 424350.
I'm going to tell you right now.
That one's like okay.
Wait a minute, I was just for grants. 434, which one?
424350.
Wait a minute. 424-350. That doesn't even ring a bell. Didn't think so. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in 238120.
That one didn't ring a quick bell either.
That one's like
Yeah. No, we're not looking for that.
okay. 484110.
That doesn't ring a bell either. No.
541511. That one I know.
Yeah, that does. Yeah. So that's several. And let's see how much the 541511 is going to small. Only 2 in 2025 and 2024. And again, our forecast is being updated, so we should have some new ones in 26, 27, and 28 by the end of June. So again, just check the forecast for updates, and that process is going on as we speak. Tell you something else that's interesting for anyone entering the small business, the
And we have
contract.
I don't mean to interrupt. There's a question that a good question. Are these opportunities on SAM as well? These are procurement forecasts, right? So they wouldn't be on SAM or.
That is correct. They would not be on SAM just yet. These are forecasted records. These are opportunities that we think we're going to buy in the near future. And we have a 3-year forecast. So you'll see something out there from 24, 25, and 26. Should be something out there. Let's take a look. 2027.
Can you walk them through real quick how to, again, how to find that forecast, the site that you're on right now?
Okay, let me see if I can pull up on here. If you do a Google, that's not going to give it to me. And that link is actually in, come on. that link would be right here. So if you took this link, it'll bring you up the opportunities that we're looking for. Going back a little bit. So if you took this link, it'll bring you up to current opportunities for the forecast. And again, that link is in the slide deck, and it's active. So I made it active so that when you do get the slide deck, all you have to do is click on it. It'll take you through the forecast.
All right, Douglas, did that help? And I don't see, he hasn't responded yet, so I'm thinking that it did help.
Okay. Something else that our forecast does that I don't think any other forecast in the country does is we do something called a simplified acquisition, which is below the let me get my fingers right here. These are like small entry level procurements. Not very many organizations do this, but we put out anything looking for a small business that wants to get into the federal government very quickly. There's something called a simplified acquisition procurement, and that's below the micro purchase threshold, which I think is $10,000 now. So in that regard, if you type simplified, like I did here, it'll list everything that's below the simplified acquisition purchase threshold. And again, I don't know why this one's here, but for the most part, this is a quick way to get opportunities with the federal government, at least within our forecast. So again, if you're a small business looking for a quick way to get into the federal sector, type in simplified, or quite honestly, just a small portion of it, SIMP. That should also bring the same thing up. Okay. So again, it doesn't break out by NICS code, it's just broken out by that term. In that regard, that's a quick way to find opportunities.
Another question I saw here, just for clarification, the only way to actually propose to any of these items listed is if they were to then be uploaded to SAM later.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is nothing more than a forecast. This is any federal agency that you deal with, EPA, HHS, GSA, any of them. It's always, all of them will have a forecast. This is your first opportunity to say, this is where I want to do work with. And based on your NICS code is the best way to search. Or some keyword. Some keywords will pull up the record, some won't. Again, the NICS code is the best way to do a search. So again, one of the NICS codes that we use a lot is 541620 currently. If you put that up, there should be a number of opportunities set aside for small business. Quite a bit. One thing I had to warn you about, anything dealing with the IAA, interagency agreement, those have already been negotiated. So when you see IAAs for us, do not consider looking at it. They're done. Anytime you see something to be decided at the market research, that's another good opportunity to send your capability statement to the point of contact when you click the icon here. You find that point of contact, send it as part of their market research. They have to look at how many companies are out there that can do the work. The statement of work probably won't be given to you at that point, but at least you'll be introduced to the point of contact. They'll know you exist. And quite honestly, if you don't respond sometimes, small businesses won't get the opportunity. Any other questions? You want me to repeat anything back?
I do see Joshua is asking, is this for market research to determine set-asides?
This can definitely be part of that. Again, if you introduce yourself to an opportunity before it goes to Sam, they'll know you exist. So when the opportunity does hit Sam, then you can also respond back, say, I've sent you my requirement, my capability statement. How are we looking? You know, it's just to make sure you're being recognized. So yeah.
And I just want to add also, for small businesses that want to do business with the EPA, like to have access to this procurement forecast helps you develop a pipeline of opportunities, because it can take a lot of time to develop your strategy for responding to a requirement. So sometimes you might need to build a team, for example, if the requirement is large enough. It'll also help you determine like if this is being procured or how it's being procured, whether it's through SAM. I don't know if it says that there, if it's, you mentioned GSA, or that, if the requirement would be offered through GSA, it would be a go or no go decision. Like if your company doesn't have a GSA schedule, then that wouldn't be something that you could pursue. So forecasted opportunities give you a window into what an agency intends to plan of opportunities through that.
Mm-hmm. Well stated. You're absolutely right. And again, I have to indicate also that part of the new administration requirement now is looking at GSA a lot more than before. And some of the requirements that we're posting here are not going to GSA unless, again, the CO decides, well, we can't find anybody in the open market that responds to anything, so we're going GSA. Part of the market research, like Jill said, is one way to make sure you're known to the contracting official that you have an interest in that requirement. And GSA, bottom line, you pay a cost to be on GSA, and so does the agency. So a lot of open opportunities are good on the open market. So look at the forecast and make sure, again, you're a pipeline to the CO by responding to the opportunity you see here. Pay attention to the target award year. We're cleaning this up so you don't see 2021 out here. You should be able to see everything from 24 on up. So some of this, again, as you can see, we have some old requirements out here. We don't own, my office doesn't own the database, but we definitely made it known that it needs to be cleaned up, and they're doing that right now. So it's getting better. But when you're doing your research or looking out here, make sure you take a look at the target award year. So when I put in, again, you can start your filter by putting in 2025, and you see everything that's listed only for 2025, as you can see here. That's a good filter to use first, and then drill down based on, say, a NICS code as another secondary filter, and that'll give you everything
Now,
for 25.
as they're researching the procurement forecast, is the contract specialist or contracting officer listed there that they could then ask questions to them? How the procurement strategy, what the intended procurement strategy is, so they can.
Yes, and in that regard, the procurement method here is listed. The first statement of procurement. If you go to the icon that's listed here, click on it, it'll open up again to who the point of contact is. And again, introduce yourself and say, hey, is there anything that they need to be aware of to make it more viable for them to get that contract? But certainly reach out to the point of contact.
Thank you.
And again, use your filters as much as possible to help drill down to an opportunity that you think you can do.
And I'll also add, like our APEX accelerators here in Ohio, if you're not currently a client with an APEX accelerator, they can help you understand procurement forecasts for all agencies, because most agencies have them. So this was great information about just developing a pipeline. I think, thank you so much for this. Like, this is a great way for you as a business to be able to see what agencies are intending on buying in the future. so that you can determine, hey, where you want to focus your efforts in the coming year or years.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that I just wanted to bring up as before I forget. You mentioned capability statements and you mentioned elevator pitches. So we are actually doing mock matchmakers, and I just put all of the dates into the chat. A mock matchmaker is an opportunity for you to introduce your business to a panel of federal, state, and local judges. There's going to be 4 judges. You'll have 10 minutes to pitch your business and to provide a capability statement, and you will receive feedback on your elevator pitch and your capability statement. That is to help you get ready for the matchmaker itself. So I put the dates. The first one is actually tomorrow, and as of late last week, there were still openings for tomorrow. So you may want to check into that. They fill up rather quickly because each business has 10 minutes to present, and it's over a 2-hour time frame. So um, as you can see, even hearing from the EPA senior small business specialist out of DC, like the elevator pitch and the capability statements are important. So this is an opportunity for you to have some positive feedback or just constructive feedback on your efforts. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Allen?
I see a few questions here. The first one asks, what GSA schedule does the EPA usually use?
We pretty much use it all. The Schedule 70 and pretty much all the schedules, but 70 more than any other.
Would 70 now go into GSA Mass?
I think it does. Yep.
Yeah,
Mass.
GSA Mass is the multiple award schedule.
Yeah.
And I know that the Ohio University APEX Accelerator has recorded trainings on GSA. And if those of you that aren't familiar with the GSA, it is stands for General Service Administration, and they're a standalone federal agency. They have multiple purposes, but one of them is managing the General Service Administration, the GSA schedules, and it's a way for federal agencies to buy goods and services. As a business, you would have to apply to get on a GSA schedule, and it can be time consuming, but as Mr. Allen mentioned, there is a new focus in the procurement community, the federal procurement community, to purchase off of GSA. And the reason for that is GSA takes over the administrative function of the contract, so the agencies aren't responsible as much for doing that anymore. So a lot of federal agencies utilize GSA before, but now there's a really big focus on directing requirements to GSA rather than through SAM.
Yep.
And a lot of those updates would likely be covered in our Ohio Business Matchmaker webinar training on April 8th.
There you
At
go.
the morning session, we'll be covering all things GSA and specifically how to get on a GSA schedule. So certainly make sure you register for that training here in a few weeks as well.
All right, and we see there's a question from Chris. How would we approach the EPA regarding past work in a particular environmental area to present the possibility of expanding that work beyond the current geographic region?
Shoot me your email capability statement, and I'll put you in touch with some of the folks that I think may be able to support you.
Let me put your email in the chat. That's a very good point. David.Allen.
Actually, just a reverse, Allen.David.
Gotcha. at epa.gov?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions right now. I will say thank you very much for your time today. I learned an awful lot, and hope everyone else on the call did too. And just as a reminder, we will have the EPA Cincinnati office at the Ohio Business Matchmaker on April 22nd. I am going to send the information to Mr. Allen. I'm not sure if he'll be able to come from DC, but it would be great if he could. So thank you so much for imparting your knowledge to us today.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and certainly enjoyed every moment while it's spent communicating. I'll do it again. Just reach out to me. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I will go ahead and switch gears to doing business with the Ohio National Guard. So we have Mr. Bradley Waugh, who is the Chief of Contracting Office with the United States Property and Fiscal Office with the Ohio National Guard. Very happy to have you today. Brad, are you ready to go? Yep, there he is.
Okay. Just give me a minute. I'll learn not to follow this guy again. It's an excellent brief. Okay, sharing my screen. I learned a lot too. Thank you. I seem to be having bandwidth issues. Just a warning. It just popped up on my screen. So
I had that like 5 minutes ago.
did you? Okay. Come on. Share.
And I think we have a copy. Nope, there it goes.
Okay. All right. And I know I'm
I've got,
seeing you, but let me change it to my PowerPoint.
While Brad is getting set up, great time to let you all know that small business or supplier registration for the Ohio Business Matchmaker early bird discount has been extended to this Friday. So if you have not already registered to attend this event, I certainly would encourage you to take advantage of that. I just went ahead and dropped that registration link in the chat for you as well.
Okay. I'm going to try to full screen it. I think it might work. Not really. I think I'm only sharing this smaller screen, right?
I'm looking
you're,
at your presenter view right now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's switch that over.
Deja, do we have a copy of his presentation for backup?
Yep, I just got it
Ooh.
pulled up. I am ready. I can
Okay.
drive it if you like.
Well, give me 1 minute because I was playing around with it, trying to make it better. So
Sure.
Okay.
trying to update it a little bit. So I just need to go back to this page to share my
And
screen. Where's that at?
And Jill, your comment about the mock matchmaker sessions that kick off tomorrow, the registration links for those have also been updated or uploaded rather to the Ohio Business Matchmaker website.
Okay, very good. Do you know what tab it's under? I can go ahead and look at that. I will do that right now. And if you don't know off the top of your head, because I was just looking, I'm mumbling.
Share screen. Go to
It
this
is
one.
under the webinar registration, all the way at the bottom, actually, where the blue turns to red, you know you're in the right spot.
Very good. I see it.
Let's try it again.
I see. Oh, there we go.
We got it.
Okay. All right. My name is Brad Wall with the Ohio National Guard Contracting Office. We're located here in Dublin, Ohio, actually on 161 at the Beetler Armory. We handle all the contracting throughout the state, but we also have some help from 4 wings that are spread out, and I'll show you where everybody's at. There is a Ohio National Guard website, www.ong.ohio.gov, which gives you more information about the National Guard and what we do in the state. Most people are familiar. I will say this is a snapshot of the website and of our leadership. We are a little unique in government agencies. We fall under federal and state guidance. That gentleman in the bottom right corner is Colonel, he's now full bird Colonel Schwati, and he is the U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer. He's my boss. Basically, he handles the federal funds within the state. So what we normally deal with is federal funds. There is another state contracting office on the other side of the building. I don't think they have as much of a contracting office, but there's like 3 people there, I believe. So next slide. So like I said, we have dual responsibilities, federal and state, which kind of they overlap slightly, and there's certain rules as to how we do contracting if it's on a federal property or things like that. So you don't really need to get into that. Next slide. We have a roughly 15,000 employees in the National Guard workforce for Ohio, both federal and state. And our operating budget, if you look at this center one right here, for federal funds, we have, all down here, we have about $42 million in federal funds that we deal with. There are units throughout the state. Like I mentioned, the Army is in the center at Columbus. We do all the contracts for the Army side of things. And then we have the wings. We have Rickenbacker Air Force Base. We have Toledo, we have Springfield, and we have Mansfield. So we're quite spread out. And I have contracting people about half a dozen at each base. So this one is basically the Army operates in all the blue shaded areas. We have armories and offices in these areas and property, but of course, contracts can sometimes go across county lines. So, and our big areas, there's a star up here by Trumbull and Portage counties. That's CJAG, Camp James A. Garfield, which is a huge military installation. And then we have Camp Perry up here in Sandusky. Those are 2 of our bigger bases. In 25, we did around 435 contract actions. This gives you a breakdown as to most of them are done by the Army side, which is 63%. The wings have a smaller percentage. So, but by dollar amount, maybe the higher dollar amounts are usually at the wings. So if you look at the total by dollar amount, we did $28 million last year. The Army was around 19. The 179th is the Mansfield, and they're transitioning to a cyber warfare mission. So theirs is a bit higher. That's why they're at 21 million. We heavily promote small business in our office. I'm sure Jill can attest to. We have roughly 92% of all contracts go to small businesses. We try to hit every metric. We keep track of this. This is just a kind of a snapshot by quarter from last year. If you'll see, most of the dollars spent are in the fourth quarter, which is what we're coming up on real quick. So that's you're getting into the area a time when most of our contracts will be cut. So this is our busy season. I took a snapshot while we were in the meeting here earlier of our current metrics. We're at actually 95% of our contracts right now are small businesses. 52% are small disadvantaged. Service disabled is only 0.62. Actually, it's a negative number because it was some contract that was canceled and had to be brought back. But that number will be going up this summer because generally we have a couple construction projects up at Camp Garfield, and those usually go to service disabled companies. We do a lot on women owned. We have 26% of that is women owned. HubZone looks a little bit low right now at actually a negative 2.73%. So we keep track of this, and as more and more dollars are spent, I will try to match up and hit as many metrics as possible.
And Brad, we have a question.
Yeah.
What NAICS codes, or what are the NAICS codes that the majority of contracts fall into? Oh, there
I
you
don't
go,
have the
right
codes
here.
off the top of my head, but yeah, good question. A lot of stuff. Most of the contracts are subsistence, food, and lodging. Whenever we have people drilling on the weekends, they need a lot of time units will have. The Army doesn't employ like cooks like they used to in World War II. Okay, they outsource that portion of the business, and so we are responsible for a lot of the meals and lodging for units that are getting ready to deploy or units that are drilling at the various sites. Along with that, we do our next biggest one would be might be well, catering and food is probably in there too, but it's under kind of food and lodging. Health care services is a big one. We have outsourced a lot of the tests, like drug tests that soldiers have to take. We've outsourced dental services, things like that. So quite a bit of that. We also do some construction around the state. So there's construction on a dollar basis is pretty high. On a number of contracts written, not so high. We also have some IT services, some advertising for recruits, things of that nature. We will buy office equipment, but some of the things we buy are mandated to be bought from mandatory sources, such as the prison services, or um, and also like Ability One, the blind, and things like that. So a lot of the things that we buy are mandated to come out of there first. This is some
So
job
we
site.
have another question having to do with
Yeah.
veteran owned. Are there set asides? And he says VBE, that's Veteran Business Enterprise. That's a state certification. So
Yeah, it's not
it'd be the VOSB or SDVOSB, Service Disabled Veteran Owned Small Business or Veteran Owned Small Business. So do you have set asides for that?
Yeah, that's right. And here's some slides, pictures of some of the things that we built recently up at CJAG. We've got a machine gun range that we built last summer, or might have been the summer beforehand. So we do things that a lot of people don't get a chance to do. I don't think too many civilians are building ranges. Bottom left corner is culverts. So that's fixing a drainage issue on the base. After that's done, of course, then they have to fix the road, and then they have to put new guardrails up. There's also kitchen equipment. There is, like I said, most of the meals and stuff we have provided, but there's also there is some cooking that's being done on the bases, so we do that as well. To find our opportunities, we're required to put everything on sam.gov. And I'm not going to rehash everything that we just talked about on that, but I would like to maybe perhaps go live and show you some of our current opportunities on SAM. but it has to be on sam.gov. You have to be registered on sam.gov to get a contract. So right now I'm going to try this, see if I can go live. Give me a second. It's always a little risky to try this, but let's see. Oh, okay. Well, I think I lost my sam.gov, but I'll get into it real fast. My screen's going to look a little bit different than yours because of my access, but workspace, and so we have 13 active opportunities. Homeland Response Force Sustainment Support Services. That would be, I'm not even what CTE stands for. I'd have to look it up. Data wall installation, shop rags. There's a materials for construction up at CJAG. There's catered meals for the 7th through the 29th of April. There's some classroom seating that needs to be purchased. We're doing a delivery schedule, a total, aggregate. So that's gravel and stuff like that. Ramp alterations, I believe that's probably at Dayton. More meal requests at Garfield, HVAC repair for buildings. Next slide. Cyber repair for a building 403. Again, these are at Mansfield, and more building materials. So what you do is you, if you're the next codes and stuff are buried in here. So you can see the notice ID. If you, we also put a plug in for the APEX accelerators to help you find a link there to help get online and do the opportunities. In this case, this is called a sources sought, which is how we put out. If we're not sure exactly how we want to award it, we put a sources sought. It's more of a informational thing. This is what we're going to most likely put this out for solicitation, but we need to know from the interested vendors who's capable of doing it. And that will help us decide whether to put it out as small business, service disabled, large business, anything like that. So that's why it's a sources sought. It's not an actual solicitation, but you should respond to these as well because it'll give you a leg up on when the solicitation comes out. It's not a set aside yet because we haven't decided what it is. In fact, we haven't even determined the NAICS code exactly. So that's left blank right now. There's information here that you can click on to get the details. And the contract specialist in this case is Gordon Strom. He's the primary point of contact. He's actually the contracting officer up at CJAG. So that's an example of a sources sought. Let me go back here. Let's find one that's not a sources sought. A little easier to. Let's see, what would be good? Like I said, I do a lot of catered meals, so let's go with that. So this is a catered meal requirement for about 3 weeks at probably one of the training bases. Same information with the APEX Accelerator, general information. Pay attention to this when the offer's closed because you don't want to miss that window of submitting the offer. And then it'll tell you what to include and when we get down to it. So the instructions for officers, please pay careful attention to this. This one is 100% small business set aside. Here's the next code, 722320. We'll do always pretty much every time a firm fixed price contract. This tells you when the questions must be submitted by, so we can roll up the answers and post them on SAM so everybody has the same information. And then quotes are due no later than noon on Friday, the 27th, this Friday. We are required by law to use the Federal Acquisition Regulation System, so anybody can look up the rules. Basis for award in this case is price first, and then past performance second. And in here is all the information you need to know about the meals, the actual solicitation, and the instructions. And if there's a format that we want you to fill out the quote in, then we'll provide that as well. In this case, Paul Robinson is the contracting officer that has the point of contact. So they're all about the same. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're buying right now. We have an internal document where we keep our future forecasts. I've learned from the last presenter that at the EPA that they actually put theirs out there. So I'm considering doing that. I think that would be a good idea if we could add that to our repertoire, but we don't do that right now. Let me pull up an internal view of what's out there coming. You get a little preview. So currently, I think we're working about 30 or so, no, 48 purchase requests that are in various processes of being sent out. We have some case managers. That's a medical service contract. We have the shop rags, which is on here already. We saw that. Oh wait, I'm looking at a screen you can't see. Hang on. There, that's better. So, so we have shop rags. That was on sam.gov already. I believe it closes on. Oh, here it goes. Closes 3 April. So there's a overhead door, gym equipment, restoration of a building. CMR is, I think, command meal request or something like that. So those are meals. YRRP is a yellow ribbon event. That's basically a hotel for a bunch of soldiers that are getting ready to deploy or come back. We have to provide them a briefing. So we get some convention space at a local hotel, or this one, in this case, is in Columbus. We also provide meals to the families and the servicemen that are going through that deployment or redeployment convention. We have a thing called Boss Lift. This is where people who work in the National Guard have civilian jobs. We have a program where we give their bosses flights as a kind of on a tanker, kind of as this is what we do. So we have to provide meals and transportation and things like that for the boss lift thing. Again, more meals at CJAG, another yellow ribbon coming up in May, a couple of them. We buy band instruments for the Army band. We have, looks like some computer software, some cell phone licenses, cable TV service. We have role players. This is a disaster response team called the HERF, and we will hire like 100 people to pretend that they've been in a major accident with blood and all that stuff, and fake blood, obviously. And people have to practice rescuing them and taking care of them. So that's kind of a fun one to buy. We have
Brad, we have a question.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, are we correct in assuming that all solicitations are on sam.gov? And then another question is if the audience members could have your email address.
Yeah, I'll give you my email address later, and I'll put it up. Yes. Well, everything has to go on sam.gov unless we're using GSA, and we've already covered that. We'll use GSA probably to buy band instruments, things like that. But yeah, everything will be on sam.gov. This is more of a preview of what we're going to buy for the rest of the summer. That's what I'm showing you right now. this isn't available to you to see on a normal. This isn't publicly available, let's just say. We are going to be doing some maintenance trail. We have a bunch of tank trails up at CJAG, like that go through the woods, and they have a lot of tank training up there. And tanks, if you don't know, can really tear up a road. So there's special roads that we build for them to practice on up at CJAG. So that's what that is. There's a motor pool repair for vehicles. Again, you can see we buy quite a wide variety of things. These are notebooks. Again, this would be, this is something like laptops and equipment like that. We don't put on SAM because we're required to use a system called Chess, and we will buy that stuff on Chess. Now, you could probably sell it to the government on Chess, but you have to, that's a separate entity, and you'd have to, I'm not even sure how you would become a vendor on Chess, but I think it's similar to GSA.
Yeah, that's a multiple award contract as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
is it Army
yeah.
specific?
Right. Yeah, it's not Army specific. And we
Okay.
also have some of these meal requests. We have like a BPA, a blanket purchase agreement, or a IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract. So if we're going to be buying a whole lot of meals, for example, in one region, we would do an IDIQ where we go ahead and guarantee a certain level of business. We'll write a contract for like 3 or 4 firms and say, over the next 5 years, we plan on using you guys for these services, and we'll give you the inside track basically to quote on those. So we don't have to put on SAM. We've already put on SAM when we do the initial contract, but after that, the delivery orders that we would cut are not put on SAM. That makes sense? Okay. Let me get back to my slide deck because
All
I've
right,
kind of
couple
veered.
questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
What GSA schedule does the National Guard usually utilize?
I'm sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head. I'd have to do some research.
I can say GSA Mass is like
Okay.
the multiple award schedule replaced those of you
Okay.
that have been in government contracting for a while. They used to have like the GSA 70 MOBIS, like lots and lots of different GSA schedules. GSA launched the GSA Mass multiple award schedule that encompasses a lot of those different schedules, so you don't have to apply for multiple or you don't have to apply for as many.
Okay.
And then the other question is, does the Ohio National Guard buy advertising, marketing, publishing services for recruiting, for example?
We have a person that we've hired who does a lot of that for us. So we've kind of outsourced it. We will buy radio spots, I think, and maybe a few billboards or something, but generally not really too much. They keep us kind of reined in. They want to have a uniform message across the board. So there's limits on how much we can purchase or how much we'll do in that area, I believe. There's my address, my email and contact information right there.
All right, questions for Brad Wall. Oh, here's one in here. I haven't seen any transportation needs mentioned. Any opportunities for charter bus services?
The Army is one thing that they don't outsource is mostly buses. We have our own buses. You'll see convoys on the roads, and I think they look at it as like an opportunity to practice. So no, we don't really do a lot of transportation, believe it or not. You would think, but that's one thing we actually do.
All right, thank you.
Mm.
And just a reminder that the Ohio National Guard will be at the Ohio Business Matchmaker on April 22nd. So you usually bring a pretty big team with you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I always drag several of your guys from Springfield and Rickenbacker over to Dayton, and then I'll send myself and one or two other Army guys. I believe Colonel Schwati wants to be there this year too, since he's new as the USPFO. He wants to partake in it. So
awesome. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I don't see any further questions. The beauty of these webinars, we always put aside 2 hours, but it may not take the entire 2 hours. So if there aren't any additional questions, I don't know, Deja, parting words or
Well, of course, I want to thank everybody for coming to today's webinar this afternoon. And again, I would encourage you to join us again next week, where we will be talking more about the Ohio Business Matchmaker and how to get yourself set up for success. And there'll be additional guest speakers that will also be in attendance at the Ohio Business Matchmaker. And then one more time, I'd also recommend just in addition to preparing yourself through these webinars, joining in on the mock matchmaker events. The registration links are on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website, and I believe Jill also dropped them in the chat for you. Where might we find links for the missed sessions on the AI series? The AI series is separate from the Ohio Business Matchmaker website or webinar series. However, I could connect with you offline on that, or just send me an email or the Ohio APEX at development.ohio.gov. All right. With that, we can go ahead and wrap for the afternoon. Thank you all again for your time, and we'll see you again next week.
thank you, everybody.